had a good day and you're on your way home from work, or maybe you're already there, you got the shoes kicked off, you're sitting there in your chair and just relaxing for a couple of minutes, smelling something delicious coming from the kitchen and ready to get your chow down there or what have you, and spending a little time with the fam. Hopefully you got the kids there saying, "How you doing, Dad? What, you got some money?" Or "How you doing, Mom? You bring me some candy?" or what have you there. Anyways, hope you got something good going on this evening. Gonna relax and enjoy a movie. I wanted to just follow up here on this morning's talk about the Breonna Taylor passing her murder there. And this morning I wanted to just focus on her. I didn't want to get in the way of who she was as a person. And then today, right here, we're gonna focus on what happened. So as you know, on the early morning hours of March 13th, Breonna Taylor was murdered. And I call it murder because I think it was a murder unnecessarily. And anything that involves you killing someone else for no reason is a murder. So here's how it kind of went down from what I'm understanding. On the early morning hours of March 13th, 2020, Breonna and her boyfriend, Kenneth Taylor, were in bed, right? It's late at night. They go to bed. And it even said in one of the articles I read about Breonna that she liked to fall asleep to watching movies, which means the TV was probably on. I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming based on her behaviors there and her habits that she and the boyfriend were probably watching TV and whatnot and fell asleep. And then there were three people coming in their door, and they broke through, and Kenneth is like, "Oh my God, we're being robbed." So he goes over and he grabs his weapon. He's a licensed firearm carrier, gun carrier there, and he starts to protect himself and Breonna. And he takes a shot at the first guy he gets a chance to, and he shoots him in the knee. And then the others start opening fire and shooting bullets up to a total of 12. And in the process, they kill Breonna Taylor. She gets shot 6 times, and she dies. That's how it plays out there. Now, here are all the details that are not mentioned of it. The 3 people that come into their house there, their apartment there, are plainclothes police officers executing a warrant related to drugs. Not about Breonna, not about Kenneth, but about this guy that Breonna used to date, who's not even there. And it's supposed to be about a package he sent there. So they say it was a no-knock warrant, but they say that in their determinations yesterday when the grand jury decided not to indict them for murder, but they did, we'll talk about the charges that did come down in a minute there, but so they were executing this warrant about drugs potentially, but it had nothing to do with Breonna, I don't want to mispronounce her name, God rest her soul. And it didn't have anything to do with Kenneth. It was about some guy that she had used to date who wasn't even there after midnight in the morning here. So they come in, plain clothes, no uniforms, and they start shooting after Kenneth fires off one bullet and gets one guy in the knee. So obviously Kenneth wasn't even trying to kill nobody. If he shot, he's either the worst shot in the world, or he wasn't trying to kill nobody. He was trying to warn him, "Get out of here, I got a gun," right? So he's like saying, "Here, boom, bam." And he's like, get out of my place here. Leave me alone. Leave me and my girl alone or what have you. And then they start pumping, a dozen bullets out there. And 6 of them go into Breonna. Well, here's the thing about this, all right? The 3 plainclothes police officers is one named Jonathan Mattingly. The second is Brett Hankerson. And the third one is Miles Cosgrove. Miles Cosgrove. So the bullet that goes in, that Kenneth fires off into the knee of one of the plainclothes police officers is Jonathan Mattingly. He gets shot. Then the other 2 are firing. So Kenneth didn't even shoot more than 1 bullet, apparently. He shot once, and that was all he did. And then the others just start bam-bamming right there. So what's really fascinating to me here, not fascinating in a good way, but curious to me is, why would you come in, get shot in the knee by a guy with a gun, and 3 guys, of the 3 guys that says there, they start shooting, and they ain't shooting at the guy who's got the gun. They're shooting around him, and enough to get to Breonna. Now, the only way that you were shooting at him and got her instead would be if he was using her as a human shield, which obviously he was not. Otherwise, he would have also been shot, just maybe not has had a significant amount of injury. But he wasn't. He didn't get shot at all, from what I understand. He was just there shooting, saying, get out of here. They were supposedly, they said it was no knock, everybody's been saying, and then yesterday when they were doing the grand jury kind of announcement of what they were doing, they said it was a knock warrant, and that they were knocking on the door, and they did identify themselves before going in. Okay, and they have that because they have a witness who corroborates that they were close to that apartment and they heard them saying, knocking on the door and saying it's the police or what have you. Here's what I don't understand. Why on earth would you have to go and deliver a warrant at 12:15 or 12:30 or 1 a.m. in the morning over a package? Why wouldn't you be waiting and following them or something if you had suspicion? Or why wouldn't you go the next morning? I mean, how long previous to this had this package come that made you believe, hey, we got to get in there tonight? We got to go in there and do something about this right now. We got the warrant. Let's go in at, whatever time after midnight there. Not knowing the sleep patterns. I mean, if she had an apartment, you could probably tell if she had the lights out or what have you. Are you going in there in total darkness? And why are you not wearing a uniform? You're going to go into somebody's apartment in the early morning hours when they're most likely sleeping and they have no idea what's going on, especially if they got a TV pumping for watching the movies or what have you. You're going to go in there, no uniform, TV playing, whatever, blaring or whatever, even playing softly, total darkness, and expect people to know what's going on enough to be rational and not know what you're trying to come after them for some kind of a crime or something? They have no idea there. So why wouldn't you go in and immediately keep going, police, 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 something like that? Saying drop your weapon after he shot him once in the knee. Why wouldn't you say to Kenneth, drop your weapon? Why wouldn't you be shooting at him? Why would you not shoot at his leg or what have you? Why did you do that? Why did you keep going there and firing off a dozen rounds and all? Apparently you couldn't even fire with the crap there because the second guy, the Brett Hankerson, was charged with like willful misconduct. It wasn't exactly the words they used, but because he shot into like 3 other apartments or what have you. I don't know if it's 3 or 2 or what have you, but he was shooting at the walls and they were going through into other apartments. He wasn't getting charged for hurting her. He was getting charged for shooting into other apartments and putting them in danger potentially. But they said that they recognized themselves when they came in, knocked on the door and recognized themselves when they came in. So therefore, they was okay. And that when Kenneth opened fire by shooting the one guy in the knee, that warranted them to protect themselves and shoot off more bullets. I'm going to tell you something right now. There's something wrong. If one guy pulls a trigger once and you go, okay, I'm going to shoot you 12 times for the one time you shot me. There's something really wrong with that there. That don't make no sense to me. You're going to say, well, he was in danger. Well, if that guy really was trying to hurt you, don't you think he would have shot you somewhere other than in your leg? This guy actually aimed for your leg, apparently. He was either aiming for your groin or your leg, but he sure as heck didn't go for your head or your chest unless he's the worst shot in the world there. And if he is, you don't have to worry about continually shooting at this guy because he can't aim worth the crap there, apparently, if he can only shoot you in the knee. So why didn't you shoot his arm? Why didn't you shoot his leg? Why didn't you shoot him once in a place that could have disarmed him? Shoot him in the shoulder, what have you, of whatever the gun arm was. Could have shot him there. The 3 of you could have tackled him, and you could have taken him down, and that would have been it. 1 bullet for 1 bullet. Instead, you start blasting away, and you get an innocent girl who did nothing, didn't have a firearm or nothing, and you shot her 6 times. Didn't even touch the guy with the figured gun. Didn't touch him once. How does that work there? That don't make no sense to me, eh? You're telling me you're gonna do that? And also, one person says they saw them acknowledge they was police and that they was coming in. And there's other neighbors who said they didn't. So what, you got one person to like 4 people, 5 people, whoever else said that they didn't hear them acknowledge themselves as the police? But you're going to go with the one person? Do you know how many jailhouse snitches say stuff about people? I want to know who this person was who said that they acknowledged themselves as the police there. Because there's too many things that I don't understand how one person heard them but nobody else heard them. Why is this one person suddenly up and going, hey, I heard them say they were the police when they knocked on the door? Well, why didn't you wait to see if someone's going to answer? You're going to knock once? I mean, what floor of the building was these people on here in Louisville, Kentucky? Were they on the first floor? Couldn't you hear units watching their apartment windows to make sure they wasn't going to go out? I mean, if you're at the front door, unless there's a back door at this apartment, which would be weird. I ain't never had no apartment with a back door. You could have been watching the windows around their apartment from the outside and making sure they ain't trying to make a getaway if you're afraid of that. Because you ain't going to go in after midnight and into an apartment and do a raid, if you want to call it that. If you're afraid they're going to flee, you must be afraid they're going to take a run for it. So why didn't you surround the windows and make sure, that they wasn't going to get out there? Because even if you go in there and you're going to start showing off your gun and saying, I'm really willing to shoot you, you're immediately putting other people in the neighborhood in danger there because you could have shot through the wall just like the one guy did. That Hankerson guy, he shot through to another wall, at least a couple of walls, because he got charged 3 times for endangering people in other apartments with his bullet. Fortunately, they didn't get hit. So then they say, okay, well, they knocked on the door. They acknowledged themselves as the police there. and a neighbor or what have you corroborates that story. Therefore, it wasn't a no-knock warrant. And then they go in there. Kenneth shoots one guy, the Mattingly guy. He shoots him in the knee. Only shot he fires, by the way. One shot from Kenneth. And I highly suspect the guy was capable of aiming. That's why he shot him in the knee. And he was like, get out of here. And it was like a warning shot. Not like, I'm going to let you keep coming shot, but I'm a warning. You know what I mean? I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to make you hurt. You're going to regret coming through that door. He was doing his thing there, being a man, protecting his girl there. But you're going to keep coming and then go, okay, you shot at one of my guys. I'm going to shoot at you 12 times, but I ain't going to hit you. I'm going to hit your girl over there who ain't got no gun, who's just innocent as she could be, did nothing to you. Don't have no arrest warrants, don't have no criminal history from what I can understand there. Even Kenneth was a licensed gun owner. He had a license for it. They're following the law just because there's a package delivered, because that's the whole thing they say. There was a package delivered to her place. Well, whoop-de-friggin' do there. What does that mean there? Anybody can deliver a package. It don't make you guilty. How do you know the guy who sent it to her over there wasn't trying to see if he could see if it was safe to send stuff there? See, and just play it out. They ain't even talked about the package was. What the package was, supposedly. Ain't nothing been talked about it since then. Was there even drugs in the package? Do you know what it was? Like, what made you think it was drugs? But you busted through a door after midnight. You scare these two people. The man jumps up and grabs his gun to protect himself and the woman he's with. You ain't wearing uniforms. You come in, he shoots a shot at you, and then you start firing off 12 rounds. Three of you. Against one guy with a gun, and not a single one of you hit him in the shoulder with a gun and with a bullet, and then tackled him and took the gun away from him. I mean, that would have been better. It would have been wrong because he didn't do nothing, but I'm saying that would have been more logical than you continuing to fire off rounds in there. I mean, did they train you to aim in the police department? Did they just say, here's a gun, shoot it whatever you can, good luck? Of course not. They gave you training. So don't give me for a second. I don't buy that. They don't smell passing no smell test whatsoever to me. And then they get the one guy for shooting and endangering other people. Even at the best, and I still think it was murder because I don't think that makes sense what they did there. Even at the worst, they should have been charged with involuntary manslaughter. And that's the least they should have been charged with. The grand jury determines what they're indicted for. It ain't the prosecutor there. It's the grand jury that says, okay, I'm going to recommend you do this here. Send them to jail for involuntary manslaughter, which is what they should have gotten for shooting that girl. You could easily put them in jail for doing that. They didn't handle that properly. And let me tell you something. It don't say much about them if they had to go in the dark. Did they even know Kenneth was even in there? Did they just think it was her? Why were they going in there? 3 plainclothes cops going in there to try and take out some girl. Were they watching a place? Because most likely they wasn't if they knew Kenneth was in there. And if they knew who the suspect was they was looking at. Kenneth doesn't necessarily look like that guy, does he? I mean, do you know what the guy looks like who was supposedly responsible? Do you know where he was supposed to be at that time? I mean, had you been staking this girl's place out to even get an idea of who it was you was going after and who was in the premises at the time? And why did you wait till late at night there's less people around during the day. It would be more safe for everybody involved. People would be going off to work. You could go in there and do your job and have them arrested. You could have sat out there and monitored that apartment. What, you think they're going to the attic to get the heck out of there? They going to the basement? That don't make no sense. You could have watched that apartment overnight, waited till the morning, gotten her when she first came out of the apartment, delivered the warrant there, said, I have a warrant to search your premises. Here it is right here. You didn't have to approach them like that and scare those people. And why not wear your uniform? All you're going to do by not wearing a uniform is basically confuse them when they're already waking up. Because most likely they was asleep. And you're going to wake them up by bashing in their door. They don't hear what you're saying. You could have said police 2 times or once or what have you. If you're just waking up from something and all you hear is screaming and the sound of your door being broken down, you ain't thinking about, what did they say? What did they say? You think, oh my God, they're coming to hurt us. Why wouldn't you wear a uniform going in there? You ain't got to try and do any undercover work inside of an apartment if you're raiding it. There ain't no reason for you to raid that apartment in plain clothes. Go in there with a uniform and a badge. From the moment you enter that door to the moment that you, before you ever fire your weapon, you acknowledge yourself as a police officer. The first guy gets shot in the knee, you go drop that gun. As soon as you saw him, you could see him get shot in the knee there. The Mattingly guy, and you could have shot Ed Kenneth, gotten his arm or something like that, and then 2 of you could have taken Kenneth down there and arrested him while the third one was on the floor. And then you call the ambulances and you get it all settled out. They said they said that they resolved a wrongful death suit with the LMPD, which is the Louisville Metro Police Department. I hope it was for millions and millions and millions of dollars. And even that's not enough, in my opinion. I'm not saying you don't need warrants under the right situation to get into a space there. But where is the judgment that made anyone think you had a reason to go in there at that time of morning, plain clothes in total darkness? You're making an assumption that anybody in that apartment is dangerous, and you have to have some kind of reason to believe they're dangerous. And as of now, I've heard nothing that suggests that she was even dangerous. Did you know Ken was there? If you're looking for some other guy who sent her a package, why are you worrying about Kenneth? Kenneth wasn't that guy. He was there, but he wasn't that guy. You gotta know what the guy looks like. You're trying to check into him. I mean, are these just 3 people who know nothing about the situation? They're just told, here's a warrant, go get him. Why are you gonna go in the middle of darkness and look into somebody's apartment? What sense does that make there? Why are you gonna do that? You're gonna risk more chances of you being hurt or somebody else being hurt by doing that. I just don't pass the smell test for me at all. Like, I don't understand that one to save anything. Like, I don't understand that one for nothing. This girl was murdered, and it is a murder, because of accidental death would be if you accidentally shot her. You don't shoot someone 6 times accidentally. You do that on purpose. And even if they thought they were in danger, After the first shot or two, you know if that girl's got a weapon. What was she doing that made you think she had a weapon that kept you shooting her? And why didn't you shoot the guy who actually had a gun in his hand aimed at you? What is that there? There's something seriously wrong with this story here. And I keep hearing some of these people on the media going, hey, well, it was determined it was not a no-knock warrant, that they actually had a warrant and that they knocked on the door and that they identified themselves. Yeah, but they were doing it after midnight, yo. They were doing it after midnight. Obviously not knowing that there was someone in the apartment who had a gun. Or not caring that there was someone who had a gun, or hoping someone had a gun, which I can't imagine they would be that stupid. Maybe they is, but that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't they deliver that warrant first thing in the morning? If someone in your police department says, I want you to go and do this warrant, if you were these tree guys and they knew nothing about why there was a warrant, but that they were being told to go do the warrant, I would be asking some serious questions. Why are we going at this time of morning? Why am I not wearing a uniform? And if you're following orders of people die type of thing, that a few good men think, that don't make no sense here. That's the time to ask questions and say, look, this has got to be logical and this has got to be as safe as possible. Why didn't you call on the phone? You could have had police outside the door. You could find somebody's phone number, their cell phone number, what have you, and you could have called her over and over again on the phone and said, hello, Mrs. Taylor, we're the police and we're outside your door. We have a warrant. You could have did that. That wouldn't have been hard. Or you could have watched the place, like I kept saying, over and over again. And if you're a police officer who don't know anything about the case, you're just sent over to execute a warrant, ask some questions there before you do that. That means you're not thinking for yourself at all, or thinking about the smart way to handle things there. You have no reason to deliver a warrant after midnight, for crying out loud. That don't make no sense. At the very least, and I'm saying at the very least, these people need to be charged with involuntary manslaughter, and I don't think involuntary is logically necessarily, because they actually shot at her and she hadn't had no weapon at all. She was the least dangerous person in that room, besides the three of you. Kenneth was the one with the gun. And then you don't shoot at him. You start shooting at the wall. You start shooting at her. And what about Ken? I mean, what did you... Here's my other question that comes to mind here. Did Kenneth have a gun? You go in there and you return fire and you did not hit Ken. So my question is, did you tackle Ken at some point there so that he wouldn't keep firing at you? Because obviously Kenneth didn't keep shooting. He only had one bullet apparently he ever fired. So does that mean you disarmed him immediately? Or he just stood there scared? Why didn't you tackle him then? Why did you keep shooting? There's something wrong with that picture there. And if you got Ken down and you tackled him and you got that gun away from him, why did you keep shooting? Why wouldn't you immediately disarm him and instruct her, get on the ground, get on the ground? This is not a stupid woman. She may have been a scared woman, but she obviously wasn't armed. So she probably would have easily gotten on the ground if you had said something like, hey, we're the police. Don't move, put your arms up in the air, or what have you. This is just a cluster of nonsense. This don't make no sense why this young girl was murdered. Not at all. And I don't think that your policing habits make any sense in the slightest there. I ain't even a cop, and I could think of a better way to address a warrant because of a package. I mean, the package, if that's what you busted in someone's place for after midnight when they was gonna be not even awake or like clear-headed enough to know what's going on around them, just hearing noises and their door being shattered. That's a level of stupid I'm not capable of being in. Something very wrong with it there. And you need to change your habits. And you need to charge those men with involuntary manslaughter. Forget, they accidentally shot into somebody's apartment. They need that charge too, but I'm sorry, there's a problem with your police behavior there. And Mattingly getting shot, if he didn't keep shooting after that, then he may be innocent. But whoever pumped 6 bullets into this girl, where it was 1 from each one, 2 from each one of them, or 3 from 2 of them, or what have you, they're responsible for her death. And they need to be charged with it. And you can charge them civilly with it, but that ain't the same. You're going to get them for money, and all people do to get away from that is file for bankruptcy, right? Protect their assets, give them to somebody else. This is just wrong. They deserve money. But I'm telling you right now, they would rather have Breonna back. But you can't give them that because of your poor behavior there in the situation. I'm not mad at police officers, but when police officers do something stupid, I'm going to call it stupid. And this is stupid and irresponsible. Unbelievably irresponsible to do that kind of thing. That is such questionable behavior. I don't even know where to begin. So think about that case there. And, I'm not saying that there's a lot of bad cops out there. I think there's a lot of good cops, but there's some things you can do to use good sense when you're trying to address a situation. You don't want people who are just blind soldiers all the time. They gotta have some kind of reasonable judgment and some kind of a checklist of things, and I think we need to know what that checklist is that made them want to keep going in there at that early hour of the morning without a uniform on and without even shooting at the person who actually had the gun in their hand. It's so sad there. So just think about that there. Have a conversation with your wife, your husband there. And I hope you have a good evening there and enjoy the time with your family and get a good night's sleep. Hug up there to your pillow, your favorite person, what have you. And I'll talk to you later on. If you want to leave a comment, go ahead and do that there. Down in the show description notes, what have you. Or call the hotline at 505-585-0500. Again, that is 505-585-0500. And I appreciate you very much for listening. And as always, God bless you.